All right, we're starting, guys. It is streaming live on YouTube now. Sriranjani, can I start?
Share the links over the groups.
Yeah,
We
you
might
can
not.
start. Coolish, I think everyone's fine with English, so at the moment we don't need an interpreter. When we need an interpreter, I'll switch you to interpretation, but right now it's not on.
Okay, sure.
So, very good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. FFF India and FFF Lucknow are collaborating this evening to bring you this webinar based around India and its air pollution problems and the solutions that we can take to counter it. Today, we are joined by Mr. Nitish Kulshresht. Mr. Kulshresht is born in Kanpur and currently resides in Lucknow. He has his own energy solutions firm, which provides energy solutions like air pollution solutions, solar energy solutions, and water treatment solutions to industries and the hospitality sector alike. He has also worked with the state government in shutting down factories which do not follow all the necessary legal regulations that they have to take to maintain a certain amount of carbon emission level. So a very good evening to you, Mr. Nitish. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank FFF India for making this happen, for giving us the platform to talk about these issues. And without much further ado, Mr. Nitish, could you please go ahead and the stage is yours. Tell us a bit about the kind of work you've carried out in the last 5 years and the kind of perspective it's given you with regards to climate change and the urgency around it.
Okay, thank you so much, Yashwant. Welcome everyone. Nitish here. I'll just brief you about my background. I did my mechanical engineering. I completed it in around 2014. And post that, I worked with a Pune-based company. It is named Thermax. They are into energy solutions. It is an Indian MNC. And during my 1 year with the company, I traveled around 6 to 7 cities for business development work. So I started Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kerala, Ahmedabad, then finally in Delhi over a period of 12 months. My major role was getting into the business development and seeing what all are the upcoming solutions which need to be customized with respect to the customer. Post that, I moved back to my business. I came back to Kanpur, and in couple of months, I decided to move back to Lucknow to set up the things there. With the area of expertise which I go through I have covered the heating solutions. Heating solutions, as in basic, every industry requires some kind of heat to process the raw materials to the finished goods. So what my company does is, for every company, you have certain raw material and certain finished products. So you require certain utilities to convert those raw materials to the finished products. So it can be either heat, it can be either a cold water or cold air, it can be a compressed air, it can be a power solution, and such long. So I've worked with mostly the utility solutions. And I'll tell you very basic as to what you're doing. Everyone in their childhood would have made a painting of an industry, right? The basic thing what you do is you make a chimney and you show out it is letting out a smoke. So that chimney and the equipments which are installed with it, that is installed by me. So I am very at hand as to what are the emissions, what is the exact emissions which is done by the industries, and the solutions which are available to us. So I worked in heating solutions. I worked a lot of in the water treatment solutions, the effluent treatment plants, the sewage treatment plants, and a lot of solar as well. Right. So Yashwant, how should we go about? We start with the air pollution.
Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe you could give us a small insight on how industries are doing right now. Like when you go and check out the industry, how much do they follow the regulation? How much they can't follow it because of profits? Is it that they want to follow it, but if they do, it affects their own economy?
Right. So what I have, actually every state has their own PCB. The PCB down south in states like Kerala and Gujarat, they are very strict. So their people, their capital investment of putting up a project goes high as up to 25 to 30% as you are putting a project in a state like UP. because they have to follow the certain norms. And I was glad to see that recently in Lucknow itself, I've seen companies being shut down because of the poor quality of the water which is being let out from their factories. But yes, the adoption in UP is still very less. Only if you are a lit higher on the corporate side or a MNC side, then you need to follow those regulations. Or if you have been harassed by the basically PCB officials or something, then people go and install such equipments. Other than that, they are running okay. To be honest, the levels which a normal heater or a boiler emits with the standard pollution control equipment goes up to somewhere around 1600 to 2000 ppm. Currently, PM10 is around 300 or 400. The emissions let out by industry goes beyond 1500 with the standard pollution control equipments. Now, these pollution control equipments have a cost. If you get a better one, then these come down to around 1000. And if you go for the more better technologies which are available in the market, you can go down to 50 also. So all the big companies, big sugar mills, which I say, they have been very stringent on following the pollution norms, and they have been always and always on the radar of the NGT. So all these sugar mills, big companies, they need to install something called an electrostatic precipitator. So electrostatic precipitator, they reduce your pollution norm, the particulate emission to around less than 100, which is probably a pretty good one. And also, none of they follow on a scheme called ZLD, zero liquid discharge. So the scheme is that no amount of water should be let out from your factory. So whatever water you take in, you have to treat it and then you have to reuse it. That is a cost, but over the time we have, I think in India we sufficiently have resources and technology to reuse it. Last year only we successfully did a water treatment recycle plant for a factory in Bareilly, and with the effect of it, they were able to reuse 15 lakh liters of water every day. So that was a huge
15 lakh liters.
15 lakh liters. So 15 lakh liters, they were just dumping it off. And when NGT approached them, they had to install such a capital intensive plant. But yes, they are now getting net zero. So whatever water they are taking, even if they are letting it out, they are letting it out as a it can be used anywhere.
Recycle.
Like it is not. It is recycled water, and it can be used in their machines. It can be used in their processes, and even if they put it under rainwater harvesting, no issues. It is a treated water. So yes, we have come to those stages where
net zero.
Net zero, probably everything is going on. This is the scenario, and but on the same time, I can earmark you places in Lucknow which are running industries and probably have created havoc around them. The water which is getting out there, the smoke out of the chimney is pretty bad. If you go on the Faizabad Road, on the other side of either side, you will see some factories which are just dumping out from the chimneys. But good thing is the most concentrated area of Lucknow, which has probably the worst air pollution, is probably Talkatora area, and that Talkatora area is majorly having your plywood segment.
Sawdust.
Plywoods, whatever you use in the furniture. So those plywood industries are now being transferred from Lucknow to an area called Sandila. It is near Hardoi. So most of the factories around Lucknow are now being moved out of the main part of the city. So around 10 or 15 years back, also Gomti Nagar was a little outside of it. It was not the Aliganj and the old Lucknow was, but now the city is expanded already. So now they are taking off. The industries are now there won't be much industries left in the Deva area. Also, there was one such industry. It was sealed for around 6 months. and because of the water quality they were emitting. And they, in fact, make pesticides, so which is a very harmful product as usual. But yes, the scene in Lucknow is improving. The government is getting tighter after probably North India, after Delhi. The radar is on Lucknow. The Lucknow is, and probably they are also switching it that you cannot burn any solid fuel, which causes the most emissions. So, and in Gomti Nagar area, they're also getting the gas pipeline. So, so that is a one good thing which they are doing. Apart from that, the areas which are around the city are in not so good shape. If you'll go to the place called Unnao, it is around 50 kilometers from Lucknow. The water table is terrible. The water quality is terrible. And air pollution is
It smells so bad over
it
there.
smells. The moment you enter that area, you can feel it that it is terrible.
Yeah.
Mm,
So, what goes into like allowing such industries to function in our cities? Like there's the PCB and then there is EIA. There are so many different measures which have been put into place to stop something like this from happening. For example, like the sawdust industry that you spoke about.
mm.
इनके भी कुछ regulations होते होंगे जो इनको follow करने हैं, right?
Yes. See, the plant which they put are not very heavy capital intensive, but they do need to follow certain pollution guidelines. But call it maybe because of corruption or something else. But these cities are working. Every time a person visits them, he gets some handsome amount, and it's okay. Only the companies which are huge, which are MNC, they are being taken up. Baki small companies are not. So this is, and there's a cluster of these, huge cluster of these, which so they don't need to follow the norms and they even bypass the emissions. So that thing that is adding to the first conditions over here.
So, Nitish ji, if we have to focus on like one issue, like if we have to look at one industry that we as a youth movement should, focus on and try to get it under regulation, which industry would it be with regards to Lucknow and air pollution? And is there anything that you think we should do? Like, is there a step that you think is necessary to make it happen? Let's start off top of mind.
See, the issue is the law is there for everyone, but it is not equally enforced for everyone, right?
Sure.
And in Lucknow, you cannot certainly go after one particular industry, right? Lucknow is scattered into food industries, plywood industries, beverage industries, a couple of
kilns that are there.
Kilns. These are the major pollution. So these basically have zero pollution control equipments. They just make one tower of ETA, and that is how they cook it.
But they have been given regulations by the state.
But no one is there to enforce them. The issue is not of the law. The issue is of the enforcement.
Okay.
That is the primary concern. And probably over the time, around couple of years back, we were approached by a PCB person, and they were enforcing this outlet sewage norms on the your hospitality sector. So every commercial building which gets made in UP and around India, they need to have a NOC from the Pollution Control Board. And for that NOC, they need to install a sewage treatment plant. That whatever sewage will get out from your property, it's need to be treated. Because if it's not treated, then that sewage will go to the municipal STP, and the load on the municipal STP just exponentially went up.
I'm sorry, STP? Municipal
Sorry. I just get lost into jargons. STP is a sewage treatment plant. Okay. So whatever water is let out from an hospitality, it needs to be treated by a sewage treatment plant.
Okay.
Right. So yes,
a couple of those set up in Lucknow in the last couple of years, but I mean, like in the last 5 years, 6 years, we've seen a couple of them come up in Lucknow. But
Lucknow has over. See, the issue is not with because I handed I've seen this very first hand. Lucknow has around 100 over plants like this. The issue is not installing a plant, the issue is in running the plant. Every five-star or a small hotel in Lucknow has an STP, at least on papers. The
Okay.
issue is not because they don't have it, because they are not running it. Now, I was sitting with a mall owner of Lucknow, and we were discussing for his upcoming hotel there, and his reaction was that, see, sir, whatever the cost your STP is, if I give 1/5 of 1/10 of it to the officer, then I'm free. And if I install your plant, I'll have to maintain it, I'll have to run it, which comes at an additional cost.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there is no incentive for the user to run it, because eventually whatever the water he treats, he just lets it out. So I think if there is an ecosystem where all this water treated, this treated water is pretty much good for the horticulture and agriculture purpose. I have few plants running in Lucknow, and they use that water for gardening around them, and they now have lush lawns. So that is an added advantage for them. So like in townships which you have, they install it and they run it. But for hotels, they are not. So if we just combine the capacity of this water which we have, it can be used by some government policy. It can be allocated to the drought areas. Like a tanker can come up every day. You have treated water of say 10 lakh liters at least in just Gomti Nagar area or so. This water can be allocated to the needy places, or probably replenishing the groundwater. So that is something on the policy side should be done by the government.
There is no policy in place, like which exactly tells what should be done with recycling.
It is an optional scheme that you can reuse that water.
But it isn't enforced.
I'll tell you, the recycling is it can be to such a level that you can drink it. Okay. In Singapore, people drink your sewage treated water. People don't know it, but Singapore is scarce. There is a scarcity of water. One small bottle will cost you over $200 in Singapore. So they have very much shortage of water. So whatever the sewage goes, it gets recycled, and it gets recycled to such a level that you can drink it. Even I can do it in Lucknow or India, in any part of it. On papers, we can get you that water, but it is because of the mentality which we have. So it's okay. You don't want to drink that. Okay, I get it. But it can be used for other purposes also. It can be used for irrigation. For all those farmers and everything, you have so much of water which is treated and which is getting waste.
The
government can buy that water and give some incentive to the people who own this.
Something similar with air. Is it possible to clear out? Like in China, I've seen those photos of those huge towers.
Yeah, towers. Yeah. Those towers, see, I think they installed in couple of in Delhi also.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, in Anand Vihar they did, and I think another was in CP.
Okay.
So, but that's not such a huge thing. Those things are capital intensive. I can also provide a similar kind of a thing, but I generally do for my equipments. Those are basically they suck out the air and they filter it through some filter mechanisms.
We at FFF Lucknow were thinking about crowdfunding those towers, like in setting them up around the city. But we didn't know what kind of an effect, like, is it actually helpful in clearing out air, or is it more of a marketing gimmick by governments to,
See, something with water is localized. I can fill a tank of water and treat it and give you back.
Yeah.
But I cannot do the same with air.
Yes.
Air, I can have to treat it there and I have to let it out there.
Okay.
So that is something issue with the air, and air we cannot hold it in a container. It is there. We have to treat it there and we have to let it out there. And probably they did some misting also, which basically settles down the smog. Misting. So there's a fan, a small vapors of water are spread across it, In this case, probably in misting also, you can use this treated water.
So this misting was in China or in Delhi?
Delhi.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think if I'm not wrong, Saudi Arabia, probably Dubai, they developed some means also to do the artificial rain. So if you are heavy on smog, you just fly out a plane, and it has some chemicals also, would basically accelerate the rain, and once it rains, it's all cleared. So it's basically about to settle down the smog particles, and that will be.
Kulesh, yes, you guys have any questions, please go ahead.
As you said, there are zero pollution installations, and but there is no enforcement. So what is the problem with the enforcement? Just the corruption?
Enforcement is selective. If I see, if they offer, there's one, I didn't mention that. There's a technology called a stack monitoring system. It is, it actually pretty much followed by the PCB norms. So what they do is, again, in the big companies, your chimney, what they have is they have an equipment which measures the real-time emissions, and that has to be placed on your chimney when you are registering for the NOC. So that system is installed on your chimney. That instrument is connected with the Wi-Fi and the server at the PCB. So what it gives it gives a real-time emission norms to the PCB.
Okay.
So such, yeah.
Okay.
So this was such a system which was installed in many of the industries, and the moment the emission norms used to cross, it used to give alert at the PCB and the customer end.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I had this is so real time, constantly.
Yeah, they have all the equipments, but again, this is not being followed. Either that instrument gets clogged up or damaged or something, and after that, when the other person comes to visit it, he's either given some money or something else. But technology is there, we can monitor it real time.
But it's still not perfect. That you said
it is still not perfect. There's a mill in around Mohan Road. What issue is, this is a huge rice mill. Their boiler started sending out a not combustible particulate emission. So there was a NGO nearby. They have a school there, and that NGO was run by an army personnel. So he escalated that because whenever his mill used to run, there was at least 2-3 mm thick layer of ash all around his premises. So that person escalated that, and then he had to install a 20 lakh rupees equipment for that. But he went. I know such around 3 or 4 installations in Lucknow nearby. But yes, technology is there, and once the will is there to enforce that, I think it will be much beneficial.
Basically, the problem at some level it get clogged up over the corruption thingy.
Yeah, actually, see,
because the industry can pay less and get away with it.
Actually, but see, on the other side also, I'm seeing on the side of water pollution, what I've been seeing lately, the PCB has gone pretty strict. They are now like tanneries, they are shutting down like anything. In one day, around, if I'm correct, last year around 50 industries were shut because they were just letting out exactly non-treated water, like colored water, high TDS water. They were just letting it out, so they were shut. So yes, they are coming up with schemes, but enforcing them, let us see how does that pan out.
Okay, apart from the industries, we have seen a lot of stray waste burning in Lucknow, like in every gully.
That should be banned. That should be banned.
I think that is banned from like 23 December 2016, but still the problem is
Yeah,
still again in the enforcement.
yeah,
So if
exactly.
everything is melting down to the enforcement part only, so what
I
is the way
think,
out? If they are getting a way out through corruption, we should also have a way out.
see, what you need to do is incentive to work,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
If I do this, what is my, if I give my waste to someone,
Mhm.
and just think of a circular economy. Okay, I
Yeah.
have waste to burn. I can burn it on the road also. If I go and give this waste to a person and he gives me 5 rupees, I'll
Mhm.
not burn it on the road now. I'll go and give it to the person. He'll burn it technically and properly, and so that cycle, that solution is still not there.
Okay, so we need incentive, and more importantly, we also need, I think, incentive with easy access.
Yeah,
Because we
definitely.
have like kabadi walas, but still people are not
Exactly.
burn it.
Yeah,
Okay. And I think
like
there is an installation in the like Hazratganj jo parking hai, the main parking. In front of
mhm.
there, I think there is a kiosk or something where you can drop your garbage and you can collect money.
Yeah, I've heard of it. See,
Like,
such models is what is required,
it is
because
still in the pilot mode. Still in the pilot mode.
Yes, yes,
I
it's
don't have much idea. Yeah,
Okay.
and similarly, if you see for the food, so much food is wasted, and I was happy to see Robin Hood Army and Feeding India. So
Yeah.
so much of
That's
food is wasted. If there is a model where all this food is collected at some point, I'm not talking about the food which can be eaten later. I'm talking about waste food, like peelings of vegetables and everything. If these are accumulated at a place, there is a biogas plant which will give you a gas, and that can be reused by the all the canteens and hospitals and such things.
yes. We had this college in Pune which was doing this. Like their whole canteen was running on biogas that they were producing themselves from the.
Have you
oh.
heard of Akshay Patra?
Ji.
Yeah, yeah,
Akshay,
yeah.
Akshay Patra has a plant in Lucknow, and
Mhm.
I have my installations there. So what they do it, whatever the leftover the food is, they have a biogas plant. Now they generate their own gas and they cook the food with it, and also from the steam. So they are doing it on a very economic mode. So these model needs to come in place, and these model needs to be accessible and viable for everyone, so that we can contribute to lowering down the energy and lowering down the waste.
Ji. So, Lucknow में अभी there are, I think, I am not sure, but एक IIM पे है, and then there is a plant here near Mahanagar for incinerators for garbage burning.
Incinerators, yes. Incinerators you also have in PGI.
Okay.
Uh, Another thing is KGMU.
If you can also tell us about ki, like how they work and what they really are, like how they,
Incinerators.
yeah.
Like how much is on paper and how much actually happens? Like,
Mhm.
is there like a gap there?
See, incinerators are basically to burn the biomedical waste.
Okay.
There are five levels of biomedical waste: level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is being the most hazardous. So all these hospitals need to burn this, and in incinerators.
What is?
Incinerators is basically, it is a. I can show you a video if I might have.
Okay.
Mm,
But isn't like all the garbage that is being collected from the city being burnt as well, or is it going into landfills?
Depends. Generally, if it is a proper disposal, it should go into a landfill.
Okay.
And the issue with solid waste is it is about the segregation.
Ji.
If you can segregate it well, you can treat it well. But the garbage which we throw, we just have one dustbin, and everything goes into that, from bottles to plastic to food, everything. So if it is not segregated well, it is difficult to manage and treat it. So incinerators, yeah. Coming back to incinerators, there are two types of things which we can do for the biomedical waste. KGOMU has a conclaving machine, and PGI has an incinerator. In incinerator, what you do is you put out the all the waste in it, and you fire diesel on it. right? It raises the temperature up to 500 degrees Celsius of that furnace, and though all the material is burnt, there's some ash residual left, and the heat is let out. Also, this heat can be used for many other purposes, like even your centralized heating or your hot water requirements or your steam requirements. So this is waste to, we have a separate section of waste to energy equipments. So we burn waste. So this is a function of an incinerator. Another thing which KGMU has, what they do is they don't burn it, they make a bricks of it.
Okay. Oh, I've
But
heard that.
yeah, conclaving.
Okay.
Yeah. So what they do is they make bricks of it, and those bricks are further reused wherever. I think Lucknow also has a road which is based on the
Yeah,
use
yeah.
plastic.
Mhm.
So such kind of initiatives and models will only help us manage the waste better.
So, in your opinion, incinerators and garbage burning is not one of the big contributors for air pollution in Lucknow?
Incinerators, see all those incinerators which you or all those industrial air pollution which we see, it can be very well controlled if it is enforced because we have the means for them ready.
Okay. Okay.
We don't have to do any R&D or any research. We can install them in a 3 months time, and there will be very less emissions. Your emissions will cut down to at least 1/5,
That's a big
at
number.
least. Yeah. So currently, I think industrial pollution accounts to around 20 to 30% of the total emissions.
Okay.
So, my next question, this is like actually a personal thing. I mean, there are different ways to look at it. But if you had to tackle the air pollution problem, like as a movement, would you do it at a national level? Would you do it at a city level? Would you talk to PCB or would you, go to NGT? Like, if you had to, like, create a dialogue with the government, start talking about improving things, how would you take it? Like, if it was completely up to you?
Okay. See, there are at least major contributors are five. It is one of the constructions, the dust. It is one of the biggest
Ji.
because India is a developing country, and every day where you see there's construction every day.
There is an ad by
Yeah,
Asian Paints over this.
यहाँ कभी बंद नहीं होता construction.
India is a developing country. So ये
And
paints
it
are
will
there.
keep developing, and there will be construction. The urban expanse of Lucknow has gone two folds, and it is still expanding. It is still expanding. So the dust from the this construction sites is also one of the major issue. See, over the period of 1 year, the construction and pollution, the cars, they don't stop, right? The number of cars in June will be the same in number of cars in December. But it is because of the temperatures go down. So whatever dust and emissions are there, they are not. They don't get into the atmosphere and degraded. They settle down. That is what a biggest issue is. You won't ever hear in news about smog issues in June, but the issues is still there. The factories are burning pollutants. Car is emitting NOx, SOx, and NOx. So that will always be there. So we have to tackle this with respect to our city. Tropical climates will have what you call is photochemical smog, and what we'll have is pollutant smog. So photochemical smog is especially when you have the SOx and NOx, the sulfur dioxides and nitrous oxides. When they are emitted from the your cars, these vehicles, and they form a volatile organic compounds. When these volatile organic compounds react with the air, react with the sunlight. So the first sunlight in the morning, so these volatile organic compounds get activated by the energy of the sunlight, and what they do is then they form a diffraction. They form a layer above the layer of the atmosphere, so it doesn't let it go. So
Okay.
sun's energy is basically the catalyst in all this.
In the photochemical smog.
Yeah, it is a photochemical smog. Photochemical smog is basically with respect to your climate. If you are
in a cold place.
Beijing is there. Beijing, when it is a city surrounded by the mountains. Los Angeles was there. They also encountered this smog in late 90s. And
Okay.
but what where we are, we accumulate these pollutants because of the density of it.
Okay.
Right, in a 20-kilometer radius, maximum of the heat. If you see the heat map, you will see maximum of the pollution in this area. Right. So for to tackle, coming back to your question, every city or maybe states need to tackle it differently with respect to their geography. You won't see an parali issue in Bombay, but they have agriculture around them also. Right. And secondly, if PCB, whatever the laws have been passed and agreed upon, if they are enforced right, there'll be a much better place for us. Because I've seen this in South Kerala, Gujarat. In Gujarat, you cannot install a boiler, what the machine which produces steam, without an electrostatic precipitator or a back filter equipment. These are two technologies which reduce the pollution norms.
Hmm.
So there, if I'm paying X for a boiler setup in UP, they are paying at least 1.7x. But it is a hard and fast rule. They have to pay. They
Ji.
have to follow the pollution norms. And also, if you visit any factory, big MNC, at the front of their gate, every day, their outlet emissions, the outlet quantity for both air and water are mentioned. For a proper MNC company, has to be followed. So it is not such a model that it is not followed anywhere, but we just need to enforce it more in much better way. And hopefully in Lucknow in coming 2 3 years, and with the scene we are seeing all around the year, with diseases on the rise and chronic uh, asthma issues, I think they'll come into being, but it will take some year. So this is one of the thing which needs to be enforced rightly.
Ji.
Okay. So one more thing. He, as we discussed about the NGT tool, he asked us, like, as a concerned citizen, as secondly as a climate change movement, and thirdly, or any NGO who is thinking to intervene on the enforcement side,
Hmm.
how they can do it. And secondly, is there any way NGT can help it? Because we have heard like how if NGT gets into the enforcement side, it really does it. Like when it got
Hmm.
into the Shri Shri Ravi
Yes,
Shankar side, art of living,
yeah,
and it like
it
Yamuna,
does.
the whole thing. So the NGT is a big word, is a big statutory organization. How we can get help from NGT or any other organizations so that we can intervene, because enforcement is getting a bit diluted because of the corruption.
See, NGT is a quasi legal body.
Yeah.
NGT basically handles all the litigation of PCB and CPCB. So
Hmm.
whatever, so as to reduce the burden on the high courts and the Supreme Courts, right? So
Okay.
if you file for any environmental violence, it will be heard by the NGT,
Okay.
right? Firstly, it will be district court, and probably if it is a big issue, it will be NGT will intervene, and NGT can order your fine or something else, right? Now there are two ways to tackle it. Are you looking to tackle it from the product side, or are you looking to tackle it from the awareness side? There are two things which you need to stick upon as to what we are going to do. Are we going to install solar plants, or are we going to install some technology which will bring down the emissions, or do we need funding for that? What can we do? There, this is one side. On the other side is, if we create the awareness among the people that how dreading the situation is, and what measures an individual can take
Yeah.
so as to reduce their carbon footprint. From an individual perspective, we should use less of transport as we can, sharing cabs, and reducing your electricity bills, and also see issue is what I am currently seeing as to 20 years back. In 2000, I had not heard of an RO machine. RO machine in 2000s was an industrial product. It is an industrial product because RO is a very fine quality of water which is used in your machines. It is not to be not meant for drinking. But over
Okay.
the time, what happened is the water table, the quality of the water went so further down that only an RO can treat it now. So now every home has an RO. We drink RO, we drink distillery. And if you
Hmm.
go to any foreign countries, they don't drink RO. They
Yeah.
drink trap water. And if you go to the WHO site, if you'll see the norms for a RO water, I think it is there's a term called total dissolved solids, which is treated by the RO machine. So
TDS.
the TDS, right? So the TDS for a potable water by WHO is around in the range of 150.
Okay.
What you drink from an RO is 20, 30, and
Okay.
RO can reduce it up to 5 because see in 150 you get all the minerals also. Your body requires minerals, calcium, magnesium, iron in very slim quantities also, but it does require. But if you keep drinking RO water, people are having arthritis issues, people are having calcium deficiencies. So what today RO was 20 years back, today it is the same state of an air purifier. In 20 years now, if we survive the climate change, every home will
Hmm.
have an air purifier. Today, air purifier is for industries who need to control their emissions.
Hmm.
And it is I think for past 2 years, I've seen a lot of rise in air purifiers. Every home is buying air purifiers. When you go out, you carry a bottle of water, you carry a mask, and in home, you are trapped in an air purifier. So this scenario has gone pretty worse. And we need some drastic changes. We are already nearing 1.5 degree in probably 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
If we hit 2 degree, then that is a point of no return.
Yeah. That's why we got the like 20 or 10-year deadline.
There's a carbon clock which is started in New York, and it is
Okay.
at you just check it out. It is
Just
already
now.
counting 8 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you see
Hmm.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has
Yashwant.
counted 8 years.
Yashwant wants to
So
say something.
yeah, go ahead.
सतीश जी जैसा हम लोग ने इस साल देखा with the pandemic coming in,
Hmm,
we saw air quality levels which have just not been seen in years. मतलब Lucknow was
hmm,
down to 25, 30.
hmm.
And it gave us all a lot of hope to see how quickly nature recovers, how quickly
Exactly.
birds are back, how quickly like there were
Hmm.
wild animals which were entering cities because people were indoors. So as somebody who's seen the industry function and how it functions, do you think that it is possible to do staggered lockdowns in some way, maybe have a lockdown once in 4 months for a week?
I think lockdown should be a national thing now. 1 month lockdown, and
Hmm.
because for the first time in my life I could actually see photos of the areas very clear. Like
Exactly.
sky is clear, you can see the stars, and the
Yeah.
most polluted areas also were the life was coming back, air quality was fine. Delhi was around 50, went around down to 50 ppm. So this gave me a hope that yes, if we are not the part of solution, we are the problem actually.
Yeah.
So so yeah, the issue is that we have the word is sustainable.
Yeah.
How we can not harm the environment, how we can also co-live, coexist without minimal damage to it. So yes, we still have time. At least I would say maybe in a decade. But there are a lot of things which constitute key how we are going to go forward, because Indian economy. Uh, if you would have seen that there's a documentary called Al Gore की कौन सी थी वो? The
um
inconvenient truth, the
Yeah.
inconvenient truth,
Yeah.
right? In the second part of it, what they were the Paris Climate Agreement, what they did is Al Gore was he was handling some of the negotiations with some of the countries, and Al Gore came to India. They met with this was nowhere showed in news or somewhere. Al Gore with his committee came to India. He sat with Piyush Goyal and he said, "Sir, we need to bring down your emission levels, and we are signing 2050 zero emissions and net water zero and everything." He was told straight point that, "Sir, you are telling me the country which has used coal for 200 years to build itself, now we have just used coal for 70 years and you're telling me to shut down? I'm sorry, I cannot do it." He was told point blank from him. He went back. They somehow got a loan of if you know, India has a $1 billion loan from Solar City and other countries to put up a solar power plant.
All right.
So that is how, if you see this documentary, and after that, Modi told ki, okay, see, coal is not going from our economy, but now we'll focus on the renewables also after he got this loan. So there are a lot of factors which need to place right for us to get to there. And even if in India scenario, last month only, there's a friend of mine who has a factory, and he called me up and said, "यार बड़ी दिक्कत हो गई." मैंने क्या हुआ? He said कि the base rate of coal, so all the coal is bought in auction. The base rate of coal was doubled. So what government is slightly doing, they are telling you to drift away from coal.
Okay. So that is a lot of information that only you could have given us. I wanted to know, lastly, after this, we'll open it to everybody in the discussion. Garvit, maybe you have to ask something. Sri
Sure.
Ranjit, if you have questions. But so this lockdown, agar hame karna hai, so do we approach the PCB and we talk about it? Do we start a conversation with the Ministry of Environmental Affairs, or do we, NGT it? Like if you have to go in one direction, and without like making it sound very anti-establishment, because our movement isn't anti-government; it's pro-environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
how do we engage in this discussion? Which body do we approach if you had to approach one, like for a lockdown?
My counter question: does this a lockdown of a 1 month did anything good now? It only did good for a month.
Yeah, so I think it needs to be
We are
like
back to square one now.
2 weeks. We're back to square one.
So what needs to be changed it as a policy level? What needs to be changed at a awareness perspective? Um See, uh, just the other day I was thinking something. If people can see it, what gets measured gets managed, right? For every traffic signal, if you have a PM 2.5 measurement scale along with it, so every time you stop at a signal, you see what is the air quality right now. Get that? At least people will see. I'm not saying they'll understand it. At least people will see. Ki today, let us not open the window. It is 200 ppm outside. So then this thing gets into the system. Okay, this means something, right? There's Samta Mulak Chowk pe there's pollution population का लगा हुआ है ना.
Yeah.
मैं जब भी वहां जाता हूँ तो मैं 5 मिनट खड़े होने में 10 लोग पैदा हो जाते हैं वहां. So that brings something in my mind. Ki, see the rate at which this population is exploding, and do we have enough resources for everyone?
Yeah.
So at awareness point of view, it is we do seminars, we do webinars, or we do such kind of things. But people need to be aware, because see, it is very the one thing which everything people have understand, that always government listen to what people has to say. If you can change the view of the people, then you can change the view of the government.
Yeah.
You cannot go strong based ki this is my opinion and this is what needs to be done. It has to go from the people. It should be a people driven movement, that we want clean air.
Yeah.
We want clean water. We want clean environment. Because government will only listen to the masses.
Yeah.
So first, initially, we need to change the mindset of the people. We should start doing some campaigns, or maybe seminars with schools and colleges. Maybe climate strike was a good idea to get into the eyes of people as to what we are doing. What we don't want to shut down the industries. We don't want to shut down the PCB and fine people and put them behind the jail. What we want to do is we have to have a sustainable living. We want industries to function. We want livelihood of people to be maintained, and we want clean life for us and for our future.
That sounds so good. Thank you so much.
Uh,
Do we have?
I have some questions.
Yeah, Prashant.
So yeah, in awareness part, like it's we got the information about how we can aware, like especially using the technology that you said about
Yeah,
the PM 2.5.
technology is Make an
Apart
app
from
where
that,
I can real time use it and real time see it.
apart from that, I'm interested in knowing ki, like you said, ki enforcement part towards the industry, like industry have stuff, but they are not using it. They're just going through the corruption way. So as a movement, as FFF Lucknow, or like as FFF or anybody, if can we intervene in this process? Can we approach any governmental body and say, ki, like, please check this industry's stuff and please go through it like properly, and there is no corruption involved? Like, how can we ensure key enforcement is doing is properly enforced, like enforcement is correct and without corruption? Is there any way?
Yeah, I think Kulesh.
If you have a person down there in PCB who has a genuine regard for this,
Yeah.
so he can implement it. Because see, there are, if you go around Lucknow only, there are 700 units minimum.
Okay.
They are registered for thousands. So you can't go every day and tell them ki this is the stack monitoring system I was telling you. Na, if that is implemented, that can do, and if it is maintained by the companies. What you are talking about, it is a something which when you are such a big movement, maybe then we can go and ask for them. But initially, we'll have to start with bits and start changing around us.
So I think making it more visible in the city, getting on the
Yeah.
ground,
Yes.
once we have that kind of a pressure,
Yes, exactly.
Then we can get into the enforcement.
You need to have some leverage before you can push people, because the people you are gonna be, I'll tell you frankly, the people you are gonna be going hands in hand with are not some people around the corner, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That is, so you need to be very careful where we step into. And the very first off thing, people will feel that you are here to close down the industries.
Okay.
ये मेरी फैक्ट्री बंद कराना चाहता है.
काफी रिस्क है.
हाँ, तो risk तब लो when people know you, when people know your intent, when the PCB knows your intent and you have a foolproof plan how to do it.
So this webinar was basically our first step to creating this campaign, and we thought to have a discussion anyway. So it's better to involve the national movement and stream it online so anybody can see it.
Great.
So in the coming 3 months, we're gonna increase our public participation and increase our dialogue with the government also, and hopefully we can bring about some change in the next 6 months.
Yeah, sure.
Anybody has a question? Garvit, you want to ask something? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Oh yeah, I'll just unmute you. 1 second. There you go.
Yeah, you talked about that example about a man in Lucknow who was creating a mall, that he would rather pay 1/5 of the amount cost to building that whole system. I don't know what it's called. So that we have the technology in the market, but its cost is too high. So if you're
not the cost to maintain it.
Yeah, the cost to
maintain it. It is like a car. It is like a car. You will have to feed diesel.
So if you think there is an efficient way to reduce down the cost, is there any way like that? So maybe these people will feel that, the cost is not so high, so I can anyways maintain it. So is there any technology like that, at least out in other markets or globally?
What you are saying is, you don't want a BMW, I can give you a Nano, but it will still run on diesel. It will still run on petrol,
Yeah.
right? There, if you have to recycle 1 lakh liters of water every day, there will be a cost of 1,000 rupees per day. Are you ready to pay the cost? For a year, it is a 3 lakh rupees, I think. Uh,
A bit more.
ठीक?
Yeah.
So, are you willing to pay the cost? Or the other model, if I treat 1 lakh liter of water every day, is there an incentive for me? Will government come and buy that 1 lakh liter treated water from me and give me some money? Then I'll run the plant, right?
Guys, anybody else has a doubt they want to clear? Please go ahead. There are questions. Safura, she's joining us from FFF Aligarh. Ritika, Harshita, anyone? Please go ahead. All right.
And whenever you guys are in Lucknow, right? When I'll be in Lucknow, we can tag along and I'll show you one of the installations.
Oh, that'd
In
be
Lucknow itself. Those are big machines, and you will see how water is exactly treated, how we exactly treat your shit, and make it reusable. That is what exactly we do. See, so then you will see that the quality of the water is absolutely transparent. You can reuse it, and people are getting good results.
G. That's
Hmm. And that water is also recycled in your lavatories. The hotels do it.
G. I've seen that. Ecotel and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. Ki like, because the enforcement on the industry side is weak, can we hmm, can we incentivize or like fund people or like give them, what do you say,
I think
discounts like on this so like we give
tax cuts basically.
like tax cut or like we give a like
On
discounts on
a
the solar panels.
on a policy level,
Hmm.
to enforce all this, what you require is carbon tax.
G.
Carbon tax
Okay.
India में नहीं है. If you get carbon tax, whatever you are saying will have an incentive. I'll just tell you, actually होता क्या है कि some companies cannot lower their emissions because of the process, right?
Yeah.
They'll have to burn something. So what they do is they buy carbon credits.
Okay.
There was a company in India, I can't recall the name. They sold carbon credits for 800 crores for the companies who cannot lower down their emissions, so they get carbon credits.
So they can deal in carbon credit now.
Yeah, exactly. See, if I can reduce my emission, I can get carbon credit. You cannot reduce your emissions, so I'll give you my carbon credit and I'll get money from you. So MNCs who are internationally based, and if they have a plant in India, they need to follow certain regulations.
Okay.
So big companies are very, probably this will be done by the next year. We have installed a very high level of plant in Lulu Mall.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be one of the biggest in Lucknow, and it is the most advanced technology there is in India.
So this is for water or
This is for the water. This is like a RO plant for sewage. So your sewage goes into a membrane and it gets treated.
Just
That's
out of
it.
curiosity, like something like this, completely state of the art, how much does it cost to install?
So their plant is 10 lakh liters per day, and it costed around 6 crores.
Big numbers.
Okay.
Big numbers.
Big numbers. Yeah, my a small. I can show you a smaller plant in. We have a in Lemon Tree.
Okay.
We've just commissioned a plant there. So it is also pretty good installation of compact models which we have. But similar systems need to be put all across the city, and they need to be maintained. The issue is I can give you solution, I can run it for you, but ultimately it is your baby. You'll have to invest on it. You'll have to treat water.
Which is a big ask for people who are
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
Yeah. Understandable. एक वो पूरा एक मतलब एक balance है between economy and ecology.
Exactly.
Out, and we need to somewhere be the ones who are drawing more public attention to this problem that we are facing. At this point, do we have any other questions? Kulesh, Yash, anyone? जी आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? Anything that you particularly want to tell us?
There was one thing I wanted to touch upon is EV. EV can be a very good boost, but EV comes with its own set of problems.
What is EV? Like, what is the full form?
Electric vehicles.
Okay.
Right. So fortunately, Lucknow, I think it has got some buses of EV also, and we have tuk-tuk also. So that is a good thing. But EV में issue ये है कि unless we have an ecosystem built in, a surviving ecosystem, like I can drive my car from Kanpur to Lucknow without a hassle that what if the charge gets off. So what they are coming up in new policy is that every your petrol station would be converted into a EV station. Right, and that is one. And what they have started FDI of the foreign players in petrol electric mobility. So Sahara and few other, what I know, they are trying to build the ecosystem of the EV. And what they want, हाँ, उसमें EV में सबसे बड़ा एक issue ये है कि what you are doing is कि you are not burning fossil fuels, but you are now relying on the electric. And unless electric is generated from a non-renewable source, you are just using this or like this. It is one and the same thing, because your energy is you're increasing your load on the thermal power plant.
Yeah.
Right. So that is one. And यहाँ Panki में there is a new thermal power plant being set up, and there are a few other thermal power plants which have already been commissioned. So that is one issue which needs to be taken care of. That and also if you get an electric vehicle, your meter का load होता है ना around 4 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, that needs to go up to 10 kilowatts.
Okay.
So that is also a cost to it. So EV is a good alternative, but unless we have an infra, unless India develops a Type 3 reactor to go for the nuclear stations, EVs will still suffer around us. And with the lobbying and the livelihood of people depended upon coal, I don't think so it is going away for next 10 years.
And one thing more, like having nuclear power plants, it still have a lot of environmental impacts.
It will have, but it will have way less than
way less, and it can, in a way, can buy us more time to, so that we can wait like some technology come along and
see technology which will come. Bill Gates was probably working on a smaller Type 3 nuclear reactor. He has successfully commissioned it in one of the, I think, universities in UK. So those things are in research, but to commercialize it will take time.
Yeah. So to buy time, we just need awareness on an individual level and enforcement.
Make people aware about as to what are the harms. And I think Corona has taught so much to us that how harmful things are and how quickly things can go wrong for us. And see, Chennai has observed day zero, Bangalore has observed day zero, and now in Niti Aayog ki report mein tha 2021 mein Delhi will observe day zero. Day zero means net zero water. Zero water available in the ground. They have experienced it. And if you see the water table, एक बार मेरे पास एक रिपोर्ट है यूपी गवर्नमेंट की, ये यूपी गवर्नमेंट की साइट से मैंने निकाली थी. उन लोगों ने पूरे यूपी के एरियाज का जो वाटर पैरामीटर्स है उनके आगे अंडर सेटिस्फैक्ट्री लिखा है. कुछ 50 जगह हैं, उनमें से 30 का अंडर सेटिस्फैक्ट्री है. उनने वैल्यूज लिख रखी हैं कि कितना ई कोलाई फॉर्म है और कितना ये लेवल होने चाहिए और कितना है. So even government is publishing data as to how worse the situation is for us.
That is very insightful. Thank you so much. Um, I think,
Garvit,
yeah, Garvit, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. There you go.
About the water table, I came across someone and he said that water table depletion is mainly because of fundamental issues with agriculture. Is how much is the
fundamentally,
contribution of industries in this? At least small. MS.
see, industries are pumping out lakhs and lakhs of liters of water every day. What they do is either they don't treat it
Oh, okay.
and they are just letting it out. What should be the right thing is you treat the water, you do a underground rainwater harvesting, and you refeed the water table.
So, approximately how much percentage do you think that the industry will help for this water table to rise if it is implemented around?
If every industry started treating 50% of its water and putting it back into the ground, your water table will be up way more, way more. I don't think so. You'll have issue at least for next 5-10 years. They are using so much of water. We and you, I can't even imagine. Huge amounts of water, and they just treat it on. And you see the fate of Ganga, horrible. See the fate of Yamuna, horrible.
So, somewhere I feel that, industries are a much bigger player in creating air pollution, in creating water pollution. And, systemic changes are more, of course, individually, we all have to cut down on our emissions.
Definitely.
But till the time the industrial standards are not applied, I think going back would be too difficult. So I think that
Exactly.
is the battle that we face. And it is very, it's a balancing act, because on one hand, we care about our environment. On one hand, to counter climate change, we can't do without working with the government. We
It
can't.
is not. It is not a single person job. It
Ji,
is a collective effort for the collective conscience of the people.
ji, ji.
So I had this question that apart from all the industries and everything, because there are ample of industries around many major cities around the world, right? But they don't have an AQI to this level that we have. We are like Lucknow and Delhi, right? So I'm majorly talking about the countries that are in the temperate region, right? So don't you think this is a factor? Because I just like out of curiosity, I just went on this world map that had respective AQIs and like mentioned over, right? So most of the countries that had the red mark and the purple mark, they were mostly the ones that were lying in the tropical region. So don't you think that this our geographical location is a major factor, because the pollution that we have maybe not be it may not be because of all the industries around us, but maybe because due to all this Coriolis force and you know that when the temperature rises, the pressure becomes low. So due to which the high pressure regions, the temperate regions, they send all this like all the air and everything drifts towards the low pressure areas. That is these tropical regions which are like heated. Don't you think that is a
See,
factor that
it is your pollution is generated locally. If I generate the pollution here in Lucknow, it cannot travel to say Japan with through the air current. It can travel पंजाब का दिल्ली में आ सकता है एयर करंट से जो पराली का इशू है but it cannot come from a person burning coal in Africa with the air currents of the low pressure and the high pressure to India. So if it is generated locally, it has to be treated locally.
so like so the majorly the pollution that we have in Lucknow, it's all locally generated.
Yes, majorly.
Yes,
So
yes.
what about these
Yes.
various developed countries and the countries like
They all those developed countries have so strict norms that you cannot burn anything right there. चाइना में जाके देखो, चाइना ने अपनी बैंड बजा ली इसी चक्कर में. उन लोगों ने कोल थर्मल प्लांट्स इतने ज्यादा लगा दिए हैं. ओजोन पे सबसे बड़ा होल तो अमेरिका के ऊपर है. America has been burning fossil fuels for 200 years.
Ji.
And now they have gone clean. They are trying to get clean, and all of the world's factories in China or India because of the cheap labor. India, Bangladesh, China, they have such cheap. India is even cheaper. So people are coming and exploiting us. They are giving us employment. We are very happy to set up their industries and pollute our land.
Okay. So, like, it's not the drifting. There is no, like, this is all the local pollution that we have.
Yeah, see, drifting can be 100 kilometers, 200. You can the particulate emission is heavy,
Right.
right? The very basic equipment which reduces the particulate emission, what they do is there's a U tube, a pipe like this. So the gas comes in, the gas goes out like this. So whatever the heavy particle is, it settles down the below.
Okay.
So all these particulate emissions are heavy particles,
Right.
right? So all those particles. So this is the basic gravity separation method which is used. So if such a heavy particle travels even 100 kilometers, it will settle down.
Settle down, right?
It will settle down.
Okay, yeah. So that was one of the like major concerns that I had. That is it because of these temperate countries that we are facing these pollutions?
Issue is the temperate countries are not very well developed also. You'll have Africa.
Yeah.
अफ्रीका में तो बहुत बुरा हाल है. इंडिया हो गया,
Right.
पाकिस्तान पता नहीं क्या बनता है नहीं बनता उनका. जो भी ऊपर चले गए, यूएस हो गया, इधर जापान हो गया, दे आर वेरी, वो सब न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स पे शिफ्ट कर चुके हैं.
Right.
Also, we have a campaign at FFF India. It's called MAPA,
Okay.
Most Affected People and Areas. It is a global campaign. So we're talking about how, जैसे आपने बोला, Africa and India and Japan, all these places, they were not Japan. So these two countries, they were colonized by someone. Somebody came over, took over, took our resources and used them to make final products from our raw material. So I think we as a country, after 70 years of independence, we haven't done that bad. I mean, I know things aren't great in the country in a lot of aspects.
It's actually good.
Yeah.
See the 70 years of US.
जी.
उसके comparison में we have done pretty good.
And also India में per capita is very low, like carbon emissions as compared to Western countries. We are more at the facing end कि हमें ये problems face हो रही हैं. That you know.
We see what there's a cost of experiencing that, like cost of innovation which is there. America develops it, and over the period of 200 years, they slowly improvise upon it. What we do is we quickly switch. ठीक है, like pager जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी इंडिया में चली थी बहुत कम, उसके बाद सीधे मोबाइल फोन आ गए, 5G आ गया. बट पेजर जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी यूएस में देखोगे तो काफी टाइम चली है. तो वी हैड द लग्जरी ऑल्सो ऑफ जो चीज इन्वेंट हो गई थी, वी कुड क्विकली स्विच इट ओवर. जो बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज में अब तुम देख रहे हो जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट्स हो रहे हैं, वो बाहर से आते हैं, वी अडॉप्ट इट एंड वी यूज इट. हमें डेवलप नहीं कर रहे. तो इंडिया इज इसलिए थोड़ा लैग्ड भी है, बट हम लोग अपना इतना बुरा हाल नहीं कर रहे, क्योंकि उनको 50 साल कोयला जलाने के बाद उनको समझ आया कि इट शुड बी बर्न्ड लाइक दिस. हमको 10 साल में पता था कि वहां से देख के कि बिकॉज ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन एंड एवरीथिंग, मार्केट ओपन सो ह्यूज दैट companies came in and gave better solutions to us.
That is very interesting. I hadn't really thought about it that way. How technologies reach here in a final form while it is developed in the West over time. Amazing.
And similar is for other technologies which we are using, and it is easier to adopt. It is easier, and also the vastness of this country, the disparity is such huge that I think we are doing fine. We are the largest democracy in the world to handle 145. वो कोरोना में ही मैं एक दिन पढ़ रहा था कि यूरोप की 5, 6, 7 कंट्री मिला दोगे तब भी शायद वो यूपी के बराबर होती हैं.
जी. यूपी is the 5th biggest country in the world.
हाँ, 5th या 6th country कुछ दिखा रहा था. तो to handle such a great economy and the disparity of the people and from below poverty line to riches, it is very difficult to satisfy everyone. But then also I think it is good. अगर मुझसे कोई पूछे तो I would immediately shut down coal power plants. But the livelihood of people attached to it, people will be on the roads, and I think no government can take it.
Ji, that's true. You just can't suddenly cut people off.
Yes. We'll have to gradually phase out. We'll have to gradually adopt electric. We'll have to gradually fade out coal. But yes, considering the vastness of this country, we cannot do any certain changes.
You think 15 years is a good time for phasing out coal in a country like this? 20 years, 25 years, when you think it's possible to completely stop using? Or is it not possible to go off coal completely? This is a very open question, like.
I think probably in 10 years we could. I'll tell you why. Because we have coal till 2035.
Okay.
So eventually you'll run out of coal if you'll keep burning it this way. And once you start running out of coal, you will start investing into other things also. For the first time in history, around 5 months back, uh, solar energy has gone cheaper than coal for the first time in history.
Wow.
In India?
Yes, yeah. It is
Oh.
now 2 rupees.
Oh.
Uh, I have seen some quotations, which is, but the issue with solar is it requires huge land mass.
Ji.
If we had huge land mass, then solar is viable for us. Solar is in very nascent stage actually. Solar, the panels which we have, even the panels which we get imported from China and other US, they have an efficiency of 20%. So, and the amount, if you just see the amount of solar sunlight which we get on the earth in 1 hour, it is equivalent to all the energy consumption of for an year. So if we just keep on improvising upon the solar technology, probably in some time ahead, we'll be able to meet the energy requirements.
That is interesting. I didn't expect it to be in such a short time that we can make that. I mean, even 15 years, when we talk about climate change, we're talking about, big numbers.
We have to connect the dots backwards. We do not have 15 to 20 years now. I don't think so. If we keep burning the fuel at the rate which we are doing today, then by 2035 we'll run out of coal.
But it's only going to increase.
Yes. So it could be solar. And if you see the climate change is basically is not about warming up of the earth. It is about extremities. Whatever weather patterns you are facing, they are getting extreme. We never had this year. We saw such huge rainfall, like days of rainfall, heavy heat, and this is going to be extreme winters also. So these extremities, when they go wide, this is going to be an issue.
Okay, so one of my last questions. You said like हमारे पास technology आ जाती है and we use it, but as you also said we don't have huge land masses for the solar panels. So that means we have the technology, but we don't have the local R&D so that we can efficiently put it in use and buy us more time.
You have the all the research and development and the products. What you require is a policy. What you require is a government support to increase this. So if you see the solar policy for 2019, we are around 200 and we are exceeding what we decided. So our targets were around 200 gigawatts, and we have exceeded to around 225 gigawatts. So this is a very plus point which we have. And over the time, we have also developed solar systems on the lakes, on the oceans, on the backwaters. So you don't need a land anymore. You can make platoon poles, put solar on it, enjoy free energy. The ROI of a solar plant is now at a stage of 4 years. So if you put X amount of money in solar palm plant, your X amount of money will come back to you in the form of savings in 4 years, and the plant is for 20 years. So for the next 16 years, you are getting free electricity.
So you're branding it as a investment, like a mutual fund.
Yeah.
Will be
All
a
the
really nice way to aware people.
People, all the financial people who are putting up money, the venture capitalists, they are putting up the money in capital expenditure of the solar plant, and they are enjoying a handsome of money for the next 20 years.
So we have the last question for the evening. I
Hmm.
think we've already taken more than an hour of your time.
Right, right. It's okay.
So we have a volunteer from Gola, Gokarnath. It's near Lakhimpur. Prashant ji, आपको question पूछना था, and they have like a factory there, Bajaj
Hmm.
Hindustan Sugar Factory.
Hmm.
Uh, Prashant, you wanna go ahead?
You have to unmute him.
Yeah, unmuted him. Hey Prashant, आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे? Hey, okay, I think he
Mute.
can't hear us. No, he's unmuted. No issues. This is something that we are planning to tackle, Nitish ji. Gola is basically on the outskirts of Dudhwa National Park, no, Dudhwa Forest Reserve.
Bajaj Hindustan is my customer actually. So I very well know what he's talking about. I sold an STP there last year.
So they were,
That's
what
nice.
we got to know is that they were using these for a while, like the air pollution catbacks, but then they stopped. Couple of years they used when these people protested, and then stopped using it.
This is the general scene of a sugar industry. See, the sugar industries, the whole of the district is based around the sugar industry.
Ji.
These are such big industries.
Ji.
So most of the people are working in the industries only. So fly ash, because the boilers which they have, it is a huge capacity. They work at a pressure of 100 kg. You and I, what we feel is 1 kg. The boilers operate at a pressure of 100 kg, 125 kg. So this is, and they have ESPs, electrostatic precipitators, the highest possible uh, equipments which we can to reduce the particulate emissions. If this is an issue, so then there is an issue in their product.
Ji. Ji.
The fly ash is this is the fly ash issue is what happened in Lucknow when he had to install that plant.
जी. So जैसा हमने आपको बताया था, we have 8 cities now, and Meerut, Agra, Aligarh, all of them have faced very bad air pollution AQI levels. So after this conversation today, now we will meet up as FFF UP in the coming week, and we'll, I'll take everybody's feedback on what they think should be done, what they understood from the talk, and then if possible, whenever you have time, we could sit down
Sure.
with FFF UP,
No issues.
discuss how we can take this forward in the, in the coming year, 2021.
Sure. Right.
Kulesh, Karvit, anybody has to say something, or we're wrapping this up?
No, not really. I'm done with my questions. I had a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, Karvit, go ahead.
Yeah, I just maybe later. I'm not a part of FFF UP, so I just later I would want a discussion about it's a school related stuff, but yeah, about industries and the problems they face and how it's a stereotypical image we see, at least in environmental.
So, Garvit, I can forward you Nitish Bhaiya's number.
Yeah,
You
thank
can,
you.
if that is cool.
Sure. No issues.
Okay,
You
sounds
can
good.
always contact me.
Okay, just a 5-minute question again.
5-minute question.
Har waqt question. So yeah, like just for us, like we like as FFF Lucknow, we can brainstorm me and Yashwant. Ki, what are the not flaws actually? What things government is not addressing when it comes to the pollution or specifically air pollution? Because I think the first pollution we can actively work on and we should is air pollution, because अगर air ही नहीं रही तब समय मिलेगा ही नहीं. अगर air थोड़ा वक्त के लिए साफ हो गई, then we can have some time to to treat our soil and treat our water and everything. Everything's gonna come like at एक ही साथ सब आने वाला है. But for now, Lucknow can handle the water situation, and it needs cleaner air as soon as possible. So, what are the things जो government is not addressing and should address, that we can brainstorm and we can aware people about, so that they should also ask as a demand.
Government is not addressing much of air pollution because you talk of air pollution only for 3 months. You will not talk
Yeah.
about it in March till October. You will not talk about air pollution.
Like what
When
aspects
it's
of
cold
it?
and it's
What
gone.
aspects of air pollution government is not addressing? Like it is addressing in a way for for installations in the in industries. And what are the government is addressing and not
I
addressing?
think Nitish is trying to say that they need constant pressure. Right now, we are at
Yes.
a point where they don't really understand the effect of what they're doing. You know,
Water is being polluted 12 months a year.
Ji.
ठीक है, एंड एयर इज ओनली पोल्यूटेड 3 months a year. और ऐसा नहीं है कि बाकी 9 महीने पोल्यूट नहीं होती. हम लोग को दिखता नहीं है तो हम लोग बोलते नहीं है.
Ji.
जब हम लोग को स्मॉग आंखों में लगने लगता है तो हम कहते हैं कि एयर पोल्यूट हो गई है. अभी तुम्हारे घर में लाल पानी आने लगे तो तुम कहोगे वाटर पोल्यूशन हो गया है. तो इट इज अ अवेयरनेस थिंग. लोगों को पता होना चाहिए. मैं वही कह रहा था कि एक अगर हर ट्रैफिक लाइट के बगल में आपको PM 2.5 दिखने लगेगा तो लोग कहेंगे यार आज तो मार्च है, आज भी गंदी हवा है. ये तो बहुत गलत हो रहा है हमारे साथ.
Ji. Ji.
पानी सबने RO प्लांट घर में लोकलाइज लगा लिए हैं. और कल को तुम घर में एयर प्यूरिफायर लगा लोगे तो तुम कहोगे हवा भी ठीक है ना. गाड़ियों में एयर प्यूरिफायर आने लगे अब तो. इट इज
Okay.
ऑल अबाउट हाउ वी आर सीइंग द सिचुएशन.
Hmm.
अगर तुमको भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता तो गवर्नमेंट को तो बिल्कुल नहीं पड़ेगा.
Okay.
ठीक है. तो इट नीड्स टू बी टैकल्ड फ्रॉम द अवेयरनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू एंड देन सोल्यूशन इज देयर. आई एम टेलिंग यू सोल्यूशन फॉर एवरीथिंग इज देयर. But we
Awareness,
need the will to do
enforcement,
it.
and technology.
हाँ,
Those are the three steps.
Awareness,
exactly.
enforcement, and technology. I think these are the takeaways that we have.
Right.
Because I think enforcement or the current technology that is not capable enough to buy us a lot of time. We need
No,
a
we
better
have.
technology.
Technology is good.
Technology is good. Technology is good, but the intent to work,
Okay.
the will to change it is not there. Because it is short-lived. That
Yeah.
needs to change.
I think on that note,
Right.
awareness, enforcement, and the
Technology.
technology which we already have is not
Yeah.
being used. These are the takeaways that we've taken from this conversation. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Nitish, for joining us.
Thank you so much. Great to chat with you all, and I hope we'll get on same another soon.
GG, for sure. And thank you also, FFF India, everybody involved, Tarun, Sri Ranjini, Meher, for giving us the space and time to make this happen. We really appreciate when local chapters get to amplify their own voice on a national platform. And